Humans are strange. The hail hero of the frozen hellscape. So why aren't more aliens beating down the doors to visit Earth now that the starport's open? Harlan asked lazily of his companion. The 4-foot-long reptilian blinked one eye slowly at him and emitted a dry rasp of amusement. One might theorize that all the warning broadcasts you transmitted actually succeeded, the lizard replied. Warning broadcasts? Harlan asked, raising a brow. What warning broadcasts? The lizard nudged him with a tail in gentle reproach and stretched luxuriously across the warm sand. Do not attempt innocence, companion Harlan. I have viewed the complete collection you store in your personal archives. Harlan flicked a foot in puzzled query, and the lizard snorted. I have watched the chronicles of the Hail survivor on the Forbidden World many times. If even a fraction of the terrors he unveiled were accurate, no rational being would voluntarily set foot there. Harlan squinted at his friend while his mind raced through catalogs. You're here, he pointed out idly. Well, I have never pretended to great sanity, the lizard admitted. And I reasoned that so long as I remained near you, I would be shielded from the nightmares the Hail survivor endured. Harlan's mental search completed. Hey, the only files of mine you've ever accessed are the Steve Irwin documentaries. The lizard exerted considerable effort to nod. A Hail survivor indeed, he said gravely. The male must be utterly deranged, of course, to confront such horrors with such calm, but his sacrifices are acknowledged and valued by all who have been cautioned away. Aha! Harlan eyed his friend, then decided a nap was preferable to untangling the misunderstanding any further. Humans are strange. Forgetfulness. Hey, Twitch bud! Private Ramirez called from the adjoining room, the greeting broken by a yawn. Yes, companion Ramirez? Quilv answered without shifting position. His secondary limbs tapped lightly across the underside of his abdomen, activating the projected keyboard there. He could have used the central data station in the main communal area, but that would require circumnavigating the human-modified space. The wall pathways the humans had installed were certainly convenient, yet Quilv was weary after a full day observing the base commander on a hunting expedition and had extensive data to organize. He much preferred his personal device and remaining right here in the comfortable sling crafted specifically for his anatomy. Thank you very much. Do you by chance remember what I came in here for? Ramirez asked. Quilv paused his composition and slowly rotated to face the doorway through which Ramirez had entered. He attempted to parse the query. By chance implied the human believed the probability of a positive response was low. Quilv pondered deeply what the remainder of the question might signify. Why do you believe I would know your purpose for departing the room? Quilv inquired. Ah, Ramirez said. Maybe I said something to you? You did not, Quilv replied slowly. But that is the chamber containing foodstuffs. Perhaps you were hungry and sought to obtain nourishment. It's always about food with you, the human said with clear amusement. All right, boot polish. Thanks, buddy. Quilv stared rather blankly at the doorway as Ramirez returned clutching the canister of boot polish and set to cleaning and waterproofing his footwear. Quilv considered inquiring why Ramirez had expressed gratitude when his suggestion had proven incorrect, but the matter of how the human had forgotten his intent between the couch and the door seemed both more urgent and less polite. Finally Quilv shrugged and returned to his report, flagging a high-priority note to investigate further. Such a delicate subject as deficiencies in cognitive function might require greater diplomatic finesse than a mere nutritional anthropologist could provide. Humans are strange. Regulation. Galactic Concord Safety and Health Directive 5743.28 Subfile 749 Topic. Interspecies interactions in formal settings. If a human crew member requests any volume/weight/length of substance that is in any reasonable measure explosive/reactive/flammable under the standard range of pressure, reflectivity, and temperature found on Concord vessels, you are to determine exactly what they intend to do with it before providing it. The human must provide exact details of their intentions for every measurement or it will not be provided to them. Addendum 1, I have a really cool idea, is not sufficient explanation. Addendum 2, the presence of moderately hazardous vermin is never sufficient explanation, and should the human in question attempt to use it as such they should be immediately reported to the commanding officer. Alteration 1. Asterisk under conditions no less than 2 standard deviations away from the standard range of pressure, reflectivity, and temperature found on Concorde vessels and on worlds frequented by Concorde away teams. Alteration 2. Asterisk under conditions where a human can survive for more than 5 minutes with a standard survival gear set. Addendum 145. It is to be assumed that if there is a human on your crew, there will be spontaneous explosions/ignitions/reactions. All vessels hosting humans or likely to host humans or likely to pass near vessels hosting humans will take appropriate cautions. Please see Galactic Concorde Safety and Health Directive 1.14532.45 Subfile 543 Topic. Interspecies interactions in formal settings. Humans are strange. IRL pork barrel bases. Setting. Sitting around sipping hot chocolate while rain lashes the windows. Old Uncle Ray waxing eloquent over ancient conspiracy theories. And then there's all the testimony from so many credible sources. 4-star generals, PhD certified doctors. Old Uncle Tom nodding sagely. So many. And the things they saw. Official astronaut reports. Old Uncle Ray. Spaceships, aliens on the surface. Old Uncle Tom. And there was that base on the dark side of the moon. Sips cocoa. Reported by very reliable sources. Old Uncle Ray frowns seriously. Whose is it? Is it ours? If they went to all that trouble to build a base on the dark side of the moon, they must be using it for research. They aren't going to spend all those resources on nothing. That would be a total waste. Me bursts out with a barking laugh. Really? Our government? Uncles look at me blankly for a moment, recalling decades of pork barrel spending. $2,500 toilet seats and general budgetary misuse. And that, in an official tone, well, Mr. NASA Director, sir, if we don't spend this money by the end of the fiscal quarter, they cut our funding next year. Raucous laughter all around. And that is how my family came to the conclusion that there is an expensive and abandoned Cold War-era government base on the dark side of the moon collecting dust in the cold vacuum of the lunar surface, stacks of carbon copy forms sitting on shelves unstirred by any wind, a large anchor sitting in one corner. Humans are strange. Where do stories come from? But how can you not believe in river monsters? The young writer relaxed into the seat, stretching her legs in the luxury of space allowed in a train. Her head rested against the scratched window marked with the dust of 3 states and the fingerprints of many travelers. Outside, the soggy landscape rolled past in alternating waves of forest and farmstead. Her mind was blissfully empty, poured out in conversation with a delightful stranger who had shared the last few hours of the journey. It was a conversation ranging over philosophy, history, medicine, and great literature. A conversation where their minds had hummed together like perfectly tuned strings on a harp. Now the delightful friend was gone, and the writer was relaxing into that state of blissful hypnosis that only a long train ride can induce. Then the trees opened, and beneath the tracks appeared the roiling, turbid waters of the great river. The river that had fed, carried, watered, and then powered the population of this land since time immemorial. Like breath itself, the river was a part of her. As the train rumbled over the bridge, it interjected no more thought into her slack and open mind than the air itself. That is, until halfway across she noted the dirty green color of the water. A coil of more specific pleasure twisted inside of her. This was no crystal-clear mountain stream with every pebble visible from the surface. No, this was a river that fed nations. It was dense with life itself. Life in the form of every creature that crawled on the surface of the earth and swam through its waters. It was dense with the raw nutrients that fed ecosystems to rival the Great Barrier Reef. And she shuddered. That was all the warning she had. As the train car slipped over the last quarter of the bridge, a formless creature leapt out of the water and into her brain. What if? It hissed in her innermost ear. How much do you love me? How much do you love your most treasured cultural treasure? What would you sacrifice to save the life of an alien? What is the value of my life? What cost are you willing to endure to preserve it? What happens when one value you hold clashes with another value? The writer's hands trembled, and without thought she snatched up her notebook. Words fell like leaves on the page. At first fragments of ideas hinted by fragmentary punctuation. The being morphed. At one moment a seal, the next a spider, then suddenly an idea. It thinks the NES are impossibly cute. The being was now fully formed. A cartilaginous skeleton, aquatic, long, so very long 3 sets of limbs. A world from another story, another time, surged up, and the writer knew it to be this creature's home world. Deep canyons, bitter winds, complex underwater caverns. A novel formed in moments. A contrast of values, arguments. How dare you ask us to give up millennia of preservation efforts, a sacred site, the cost will be immeasurable. This is a person, there is no other way. If it cannot be used for the good of the logos, then why do you claim to preserve it for the logos? The writer shivered, knowing that the question such a novel would ask, if she did her job properly, would no doubt generate controversy, offend. The immediate rush of inspiration was gone, trapped on the pages of her notebook where it could be managed. She took a deep breath and leaned back against the window, searching for that happy hypnotic state of being from mere moments ago. But her mind was no longer empty. In the place of the mental vacuum she now swam, filling the space, looking at the writer through slits of eyes, demanding attention. "Are you really my creation?" whispered the writer to this creature. She smiled. She had her attention.